It was only a couple of weeks ago that we still had snow on the ground. Then last weekend, a splash of sun in the sky and higher temperatures brought with it a new wave of teen trouble on the Country Club Plaza as hordes of young people once again began congregating at the outdoor retail district. A dozen juveniles, according to the Kansas City Star, were taken into police custody after a series of fights and disturbances in and around the plaza. Some of the kids apparently were as young as 7 years old. Police say some of the kids were dropped off at the plaza and left there until 2 in the morning before they were picked up again by their parents. Now, the city has enacted a curfew law and last month doubled the amount of money it spends on youth programs designed to keep kids out of trouble. So what else can the city do, Eric Wesson?
They can go to the plaza, they can go to Zona Rosa and the Power and Light District and ask them to ante up, write some checks, and help fund the program. I think that it's unfair for this to be a problem that the city has to fund itself. It's the police officers there, somebody has to pay for it, and when you take money out of a budget, you're cutting money in other areas. So I think if the plaza and people at Zona Rosa and the Power and Light are really concerned, they should write some checks and help fund programs so that we can have programs that start earlier in the year.
You know, some people were suggesting in some news accounts that there needs to be more police presence on the plaza as a deterrent. I happen to be on the plaza myself on Saturday night with my own family, and I couldn't believe how many police were on the plaza. You couldn't ask for more police presence, so that's not going to be a solution, Mary Sanchez.
No, and there's a point where when you put so much police presence there, I don't know that it really even sends the right message. It will to a certain extent, and I agree, I think, with some of what they've done, and that you need to kind of squash it a little bit. That was an old term that they used to even use around here. But if you put too much of a police presence in there, that's kind of like the militarization, and that's not going to help. I mean, the bottom line is that when you look at that video, that is inappropriate behavior, hands down. I don't care what age you are, much less if you're a child. Someone's going to get hurt and get hurt badly. We almost saw that a couple summers ago. That should be the real concern. They have no business, no one does, fighting like that in hordes of people. I don't care if it's on the plaza, if it's up at Zona Rosa, if it's down in Swope Park. That's just bad behavior, and someone needs to continuously keep calling that out.
And if parents are dropping their kids off and you've got 7-year-olds out there unsupervised, those parents need to be arrested. And when they come and get the kids, they need to send a strong message that that type of behavior won't be allowed, not only from the kids, but from the parents as well.
But the city has already got a curfew law, and they've doubled the amount of money, Stacey, for youth programs. What else can the city actually do?
I'm not sure what else the city can do, Nick, other than going back to deeper social root causes as to why we have this type of behavior. I don't know that anyone's ever stopped and really asked the core question, why is it the plaza that these kids the past 2 or 3 years have started to congregate on? What is it that they really want to do down there? They want to be seen. They want to go somewhere where they know others are congregating. If these community programs and these community centers open later in gyms, it's not attracting enough kids. So I think until we get to the core problem is why are kids going down to the plaza, you're not going to be able to stop it. You can't arrest your way out of this problem. You can't fine your way out of this problem. How many of the fines for these curfew ordinances is the city actually collecting? So I don't know, Nick. I really don't know, and I don't think the city has a clue how you do this. Parental responsibility, yeah, it has to be there, but I don't know that you can arrest your way out of that problem.
Dave?
Yeah, I've covered similar stories like this for 30 years in Kansas City, and I think the end is always pretty much the same, Nick. The kids go to these places because it's fun, and they stop going when it is less fun. Now, that may mean a police presence, it may mean no music, it may mean parking enforcement or loitering, but there's some steps that are taken to disrupt the enjoyment of gathering, and it ends. But here's the reality. It always goes somewhere else. It isn't as if you can put an end to it completely, whether it's Stars on Broadway or Swope Park or the Plaza or Westport. It was a big issue in Westport for a time. North of the river, the Power and Light District, kids are always going to gather. And that's, I think, what Stacey is saying, and it's exactly right. You can temporarily fix these problems through a variety of enforcement measures and other steps, but a permanent end to it is very, very difficult to understand.
Do you agree with that, Eric?
Yes. Accessibility is fun. kids can tweet and Twitter and Facebook, and they show their locations. I'm at the plaza, I'm at such and such place, and other kids will come there, both positive and negative, because if kids are what they call Facebook funking or fighting or feuding with other kids, they can look at their Facebook posts and see, oh, such and such is on the plaza, get their crew together, go out there, and that's where you have the fight and the disturbances come
But
from.
we also had actually disturbances at the Kansas City Zoo even this weekend. They had a free day at the zoo as a result of the recent election that allowed money to be spent at the Kansas City Zoo. So Jackson County and Clay County voters, anybody in those counties got to go in for free. There were disturbances at the zoo. Now they're having to reevaluate whether they even have a free day at the zoo as a result of some of these tensions as well.
Stacy brings up a very good point. The social problems that we have within our community, both, you know, some people would say it's a black thing, some a white thing, but we have parenting problems. Parents are leaving loaded guns around in their houses. Kids are getting killed. Parents are dropping off kids at the plaza and places like that. We have some social issues that we have to address.
Well, and maybe I'll sound a little, you know, conflicting myself here, but if it is parents early in the evening dropping kids off, who, as the reports say, some as young as 7 and kids to 14, then maybe there needs to be a bigger police presence early in the evening and stopping the parents from dropping those children off. And if you're going to hit and find the parents at some point in time, find them then for dropping off their kids. It's loitering. It really is.
Yes.
And there isn't any reason for a 17 or 14-year-old or 7-year-old kid to be down on the plaza other than a movie theater, and a lot of those kids aren't going there.
Okay, but I would argue, I was there at 5:30. The police presence was quite large at that point.